And to the Express newspaper, you come out big, bad, and bold. You come out strong against the PNM that you put there. You come out strong on the Nelson Gate. You say things like this is criminal and the independent officers must act and they must, and now you're gone quiet. Express where the questions for the DPP, where the questions for the Commissioner of Police, where the questions for the Anti-Corruption Bureau on the Nelson Gate matter, where the questions for Alrawi, where the questions for Smallpin, where the questions for Rowley, where the questions for the Cabinet, where the investigation on the Cabinet note, where the questions for the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of the Attorney General, where the questions, where the columns, where the pressure, where the editorial, because Express, it was you, Express. You said this, and I was impressed, but I knew it was too good to be true. But I was impressed. I actually remind them, because like the Express gone quiet. Run it.
Opinion, the 31st of the 10th, 2022, Daily Express. Questions that will not be silenced. Despite various legal groups and experts having rubbished his sub judice defense for staying silent on the Nelson affair, it would be surprising if Attorney General Reginald Armour were to suddenly change course and address the many questions about the government's actions in this scandalous case. More likely, he, along with the key government figures involved, will continue to avoid the entire issue in the hope that it will soon blow over and go away. Given the seriousness of the matters involved, however, it will be an absolute dereliction of duty for responsible voices not to speak out and demand answers. In addition to its many weighty legal issues, the Nelson affair also raises matters of significant political importance which do not require the public to censor itself until a court adjudicates on the validity of the indemnity agreement signed between the government and the disgraced British attorney. In the politics of the Nelson affair, it is irrelevant whether the indemnity is valid or not. What is relevant is the government's accountability to the people on several public interest issues that demand transparency on the full sum of money paid to Vincent Nelson by Rowley administration with a breakdown of the payments, the accounts from which the payments were made, the dates on which they were made, and the process and route by which Nelson received the funds. The chain of decision-making within the government that culminated with the signing of the agreement by then Attorney General Faris Alrawi and Vincent Nelson. The extent of the involvement of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley in this decision and the role and involvement of Stuart Young, Minister in the office of the Prime Minister. The public release of the legal opinion commissioned by the government from Attorney Douglas Mendez SC on the indemnity, a full explanation of the government's decision to commit itself to non-disclosure to Parliament regarding the deal with Nelson. The Express editorial continues. While the outcome of a civil case on the indemnity will not turn on these concerns, all are vital to public trust and confidence in the government. It goes without saying that the population would like to believe in the independence of our justice system. However, we should not delude ourselves into thinking that the TNT justice will never be infiltrated by the insidious and often invisible hand of politics. After all, we have the example of the 2006 arrest of the late Chief Justice Sat Sharma during Patrick Manning's PNM second administration. It was only in that same PNM government that the cabinet took the fateful decision to formally establish a police unit, the Anti-Corruption Investigative Bureau, within the Ministry of the Attorney General, thereby definitively blurring the line between politics and policing. It took 18 years for the decision to be undone after DPP Jeffrey Henderson publicly called in 2019 for the ACIB's removal from the AG's office, saying that politicians had no business in police business. Today, the damaging specter of political interference hangs too heavily over the Nelson affair for the public's many questions to be silenced. And if you add on August 11th and 12th, 2021, Rowley going to Paula May Weeks to intercept, interfere, and misbehave in public office to facilitate the removal and withdrawal of the merit list, which led to Trinidad and Tobago being without a commissioner of police substantive and the crime scourge hitting over 500 murders already. I don't know all that, plus all the other affairs, Delcy Gate, Email Gate, HDC Gate, Bridgman's Gate, any gate you want, Hospital Gate, Mosquito Crack Gate, Petrotrin Gate, NGC Gate, Indemnity Gate, Corruption Gate, CL Financial, Central Bank Governor staying in illegally since 2018 Gate, Selling out assets Gate, Procurement Gate, No Procurement Regulator Gate, Election Gate, EBC Gate, Narcisscope Gate, Bundles Friend Gate. Add on all the gates and you all decide if you all don't want an election now and you want to change direction. Bless.
So express what has happened. You're a media house that just lets go a story like that. A story that you passionately said their criminal conduct at the highest level, that investigations need to be done in the Prime Minister, the former Attorney General, the former Minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General, Stuart Smallpin-Young, that you need to get the advice from Douglas Mendez, and well, he didn't say there Gilbert Peterson, but Al-Rawi said Gilbert Peterson, and you have to get down to the bottom of this. The DPP must act, the Anti-Corruption Bureau must act, but you have just let it go. Where the questions? Where the reporters? Where the journalists getting there? Where the front pages? Where the big question? Where the continued editorials? Where you trying to get? Where you send your cameras to take pictures and get Douglas Mendez and put a mic in front of them? You see, all of a sudden you let it go. When Fitzgerald Hines ball corruption, Kamala Gopal, NP. Kamala had nothing to do with that. They had a board of NP, a Minister of Energy, it had an open tender, it's a trucking company, but yet 20-something front pages, you went Kamala corruption, UNC corruption, no contract was even given out. They had a board, they had a tender, they had an evaluation committee, open tender papers. Where the 27 front pages? Where the columns? Where the big question? Where the pressure? Where it is? You just leave it, Express, after this big scathing editorial? What about Live Sport? You had Asha Javid who was lying down one night with John Jeremy, the next night with Smallpin, writing on your front pages, lie after lie after lie. Live Sport, the audit, the minister name was never even involved, never mentioned once in the 59 pages. If there was any corruption in Live Sport, it had to be public servants, those who were there to do the job, just like this Ministry of Trade officials who in misbehavior to public officer. I don't hear you saying PNM. But the Express, you pushed it, you pushed that perception. Live Sport, corruption, Kamala, ministers, cabinet, going on, 27 front page, lie. Court case, thrown out, quashed. 2017 court case, directors of sport pelt out. Only one aspect now to go into evidence, which the government will lose, just like everything else. But you come now in the most critical, actual indemnity signed by an attorney general with evidence of corruption, misbehavior in public office, inducement, perversion of the course of justice in your hands with a signed document. Or you just leave it. That's why the country is in a mess, and I want the population to understand that all that you know or you feel you know about the UNC and the partnership is nonsense, that is propaganda pushed by these media houses. Because you all will say, but Kamala, You save children life. Your education, laptops, expensive investment, university campus, MIC centers, NEFC centers, Costard, UTT, well funded, moving. You did good, but all you're corrupt. Or you build house, Mooneyland and Geraldine John and them at HEC, build 5,000 for 3,000 to 5,000 house every year for 5 years. The PNM kind build 600 house. But all you're corrupt. Kamla build all kind of road across the board, all kind of sporting center, brilliant, 89 grounds, coaching caravan, coach employment, 55,000 jobs, Seabridge moving, foreign direct investment, $2 billion US, Petrotrain up moving up, a diversification, agricultural policy investment, 1.2 billion. But the newspapers say all you're corrupt, all you now understand? Because the newspapers are full of tutu nonsense. This is the biggest corruption story in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. This Nelson Gate affair, bigger than Caroni Racetrack PNM, bigger than Financial Complex PNM, bigger than Mount Hope PNM, bigger than Project Pride PNM, bigger than BWIA PNM, bigger than Lockjoint PNM, bigger than Tesoro PNM, bigger than Emailgate PNM, bigger than Greenvale PNM, bigger than Scarborough Hospital PNM, bigger than Calderheart PNM, bigger than Utararo PNM, bigger than Bridgman's PNM, bigger than HDC contract with Rowley as housing minister PNM, bigger than APT James and the ferries PNM, bigger than Delcy Gate PNM, bigger than Paria Gate PNM. And where the front page is, where the investigative journalists with tenacity to hound down Rowley and Small Pen and Al Rawi and the ACIB and the police and the DCP Jacobs and the DPP and ask them, what's going on, what's going on, where you reach, where the investigation, what's it, where it is. Just leave it. Just leave the PNM, because when the PNM thief, them the thief good.